So, due to the changes of the world, there are global divides, global north and global south. Although the world is globalizing very quickly because of the technologies, advancement in logistics, and many more, there's still this idea that continue to strengthen and intensify. Patuloy na lumalakas at umiigting. Yun yung idea ng regionalism. The concept is global, and then meron ding region. For example, here in the Philippines, meron tayong regional and national issues. Pag sinabing regional issues, it pertains only to a specific area or region here in the Philippines, gaya ng Ilocos Region, Calabarzon, Zamboanga Peninsula, and other regions na meron dito sa Pilipinas. While on the other hand, pag sinabi namang national issues, it covers all the issues across the country. So, meaning to say, lahat tayong mamamayang Pilipino na nakatira dito sa bansang Pilipinas ay apektado nitong sinabing issue. So, meron tayong karapatang i-voice out yung ating pananaw ukol sa issue kinakaharap ng ating bansa. Meron din tayong rights to ask questions kung bakit ganito, bakit ganyan, anong nangyari, mga ganong katanungan na related doon sa kinakaharap na issue ng ating bansa. Pero hindi ko naman sinasabi pag regional issues ay wala na dapat pakalam yung mamamayang Pilipino na hindi nakatira doon sa apektadong lugar or apektadong region. But what I'm trying to say is pag region kasi, nakafocus lang siya sa specific area or region. So yung mga taong nakatira sa region na ito ay apektado at may direkta silang interest doon sa kanilang region na kinakasakupan. Pero that doesn't mean na hindi pwedeng alam yung mga Pilipinong hindi nakatira doon sa apektadong region. Pwede pa rin silang alam at magsabi kung anong pananaw nila, lalo na kung mayroong malaking epekto ito sa aspeto ng ating bansa o sa kanilang kinabukasan or sa buhay nila. Okay? So, now, we will be introducing to you guys our topic, Asian Regionalism. So, before that, let us first know kung ano yung objectives natin, okay? So, in this lesson, Asian Regionalism, we will be first defining the regionalism. Second, we will be differentiate the regionalization and globalization. So, third, we will be identifying the factors leading to the greater integrations of the Asian nations or region. And lastly, we will be analyzing how different Asian states confronted the challenges of globalization and regionalization. First and foremost, let us first know kung ano yung definition ng region for us to really understand kung ano yung lesson natin for today. Sabi ni Edward and Helen, ang region daw is a group of countries located in the same geographically specific area. Meaning to say, ang region daw ay usually yun yung mga bansang magkakalapit, magkakatabi, magkapit-bahay, magkakalapit bansa. Example niyan ay dito sa Southeast Asia. Meron yung, di ba tayo, Pilipinas, Thailand, Indonesia, Vietnam, at kabilang sila sa Southeast Asia kasi yun yung magkakalapit. Pero bakit itong bansang ito? Bakit yung example here sa Pilipinas at sa Taiwan? Malapit lang naman sila, halos magkalapit naman sila, pero ang Taiwan ay hindi siya part ng Southeast Asia. Siyempre, we need to consider some factors pa rin to identify kung saan kabilang sila sa region ng Asia, like kung saan location sila, environment na meron sila, and others, para masabi kung saan region talaga sila kabilang. Hindi porket malapit itong bansang ito at itong bansang ito, ay same sila ng region sa Asia, Consider pa rin natin yung mga other factors para masabi kung saan silang region sa Asia. Okay. Ang sabi din ni Edward and Helen, ang region daw is amalgamation of two regions or combination of more than two regions. So meaning to say that regions can be created daw by joining different areas together for specific goals. At importante ito kasi may goal yung bansa na nagtutulungan para regulate and oversee flows and policy choices. At yung mga flows na yon included yung mga trades, investment, or movement of people. While yung policy choices, yun yung agreement nila in terms sa ating ekonomiya or politika and also security. Okay? So, they had further specified kung ano yung difference between regionalism and regionalization. So, Ang regionalism daw is a political process characterized by economic, policy, cooperation, and coordination among countries. So, this is where countries coordinate in order to form alliance with nearby country, you know. Nagbubuo sila ng alliances doon sa magkalapit na bansa sa kanila. At magandang example dito ay yung ASEAN, okay, which is Philippines a member of. So, on the other hand naman, sabi nila ang regionalization daw is a regional concentration of economic flows between countries. So, ngayon, ipapaliwanag natin kung ano yung regionalism para maintindihan talaga natin kung ano yung lesson natin for today. Okay, so...
Regionalism. So, ano nga ba ang regionalism? Regionalism is the development of political, economic, or social system based on loyalty to a distinct geographic region with a largely ideologically and culturally homogeneous population. Regionalism often leads to formally agreed to arrangement in groups of countries intended to express common sense of identity while achieving common goals and improving quality of life. Gaya ng sinabi kanina, regionalism is when people in a specific area, like region or group, countries develop their own systems for politics, economy, or society because they have strong sense of ability to that area. This usually happens when the people in the region share similar beliefs, cultures, or ways of life. Kapag nangyari yung regionalism, it leads to official agreements between countries or areas that have same goals. These agreements are made because the people in those areas feel connected by a shared identity. They want to work together to improve things like the economy, safety, or quality of life for everyone in the region. For example, countries in the regions might form an economic partnership to trade goods without taxes, or they might create a political agreement to handle issues like border security together. This helps them support each other, stay connected, and make the region stronger. Regionalism is all about unity and cooperation within a specific area where people feel they belong. Ang regionalism din refers to the decentralization of political powers or competencies from higher towards a lower political level. Ang nagkaroon ng regionalism ay may involve the shape of power from a central national government down to smaller, more localized levels. Ibig sabihin nito na instead na yung decisions being made at higher national level, being made closer to the region or local community. The decentralization allows for greater local control over political, economic, or social matters that are important to that specific region.
Punta naman tayo ngayon sa dimension of regionalism at mamaya naman ay i-differentiate naman natin ang regionalization at globalization. Okay? So, we have 4 dimensions of regionalism or a concept of regionalism. So, the first one is region as a geographical unit. Second, region as a social system. Third is regions as organized cooperation. And lastly, the fourth one is the region acts as a subject with distinct identity, language, culture, and tradition. So, pag sinabing region as a geographical unit, so a region daw can be interpreted as a specific area of land that has defined boundaries. At yun yung mga boundaries na yun ay can be natural like rivers, mountains, and human-made like borders between countries or cities. So, example, for Asia naman, kung titignan natin Asia as a region, it can be seen as a large geographical unit, not clearly separated from other natural borders or even political boundaries. So, kung titignan natin dito, ang Asia continent at Europe continent ay nahahati dahil sa kanilang natural boundaries, gaya ng rivers or Caspian Sea, Ural Mountains, and Ural River na makikita natin dito. Yung nakadraw dyan, may mga nakadraw dyan. Yun yung nag-separate from the Asian continent and Europe continent. Okay? Ang Asia din ay nahahati sa 5 regions. We have 5 regions. We have South Asia, Southeast Asia, East Asia, which includes yung China, South Korea, Taiwan. So, nakahati ito kasi meron silang sariling cultural and historical boundaries na nag-set apart from other Asia. Gaya doon sa Southeast Asia na includes yung India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka. At yung mga region na to are distinct geographical unit kasi meron silang differences in terms of culture, languages, traditions, and even physical features like mountains or rivers that acts as a natural boundaries, ano. So, in addition lang din, sa Asia din natin makikita yung most populous countries gaya ng China and India. And also, sa Asia din natin makikita yung some smallest states gaya ng Maldives and Bhutan. Okay? So, let's go to the second dimension of regionalism. So, region as a social system. Ang region daw can be interpreted as a space where people, communities, and societies connect through social, economical, political, and cultural ties. So, kung titignan natin ang Asia as a region or a social system, ang Asia ay hindi lang a physical space, but also a social system of interconnected societies, economies, cultures, and political system. At yung social ties across the continent form a unique social system that shape the interactions between countries and the communities. So, in terms of sa politika naman, ang Philippines ay nagtre-trades ng goods sa ibang Asian countries and also join groups like ASEAN. At itong grupo na to ay tinutulungan yung mga bansa sa Asia to grow their economy together, invest in other businesses na pwedeng tulungan ang kanilang bansa. Sa culture naman, ang Pilipinas, as we all know, ang Korea ay ang laki ng influence nila in terms of sa culture ng mga Korean dahil sa mga napapanood natin, nakikita, naririnig, na-adapt natin yung mga ibang kultura ng Korean gaya sa kanilang mga musics. Also, sa pagkain, di ba? Uso ngayon yung samji. Na-adapt natin sa kanila yon dahil malakas yung impluensya nila sa atin. So, ang Asia, included ang Pilipinas, are not only connected just by location, but also sharing cultures, working together, and also supporting each others. Okay? So, the third dimension of regionalism, regions are an organized cooperation. So, it can be interpreted as a group of nations who agree to take part and form a formal organization. So, pwede nating tignan yung region as a organized cooperation. Pwede nating sabihin na ang organized cooperation dito sa Southeast Asia is through ASEAN, which a Philippine are member of, gaya ng sinabi ko kanina. So, the fourth dimension or the last dimension of regionalism is region acts as a subject with distinct identity, language, culture, and traditions. So, this means though that each region has characteristics that set it apart from others, including how people live, what they believe, and how they communicate. So, for example, here sa region Southeast Asia, we have a distinct identity by cultures, traditions, and languages. For example, dito sa Pilipinas, di ba? Meron tayong sariling lingwahe na also regional language or dialects na ating sinasalita. Meron tayong lingwaheng Pilipino at meron tayong mga ibang dialect gaya ng Ilocano, Bisaya, at Cebuano at other dialect ng meron sa Pilipinas. We also celebrate like fiesta, Christmas in unique ways. And ganun din sa ibang bansa gaya ng Thailand. Meron din silang sariling lingwahe, kultura, at tradition na up until now ay kanilang ginagawa. So that making them unique from other Asian region and beyond. So those are the dimension of regionalism.
Now let's proceed to the difference between globalization and regionalization. Globalization and regionalization are two critical processes shaping the modern world, influencing international relations, trades, culture, and economic development. While both involve the interaction and collaboration of nations, they operate at different level and scale. Pag sinabing globalization, is a phenomenon that describes the increasing interdependence of world economies. It represents the process of international integration arising from the exchange of worldview, product, and ideas with scope being worldwide. This interconnectedness is often associated with the reduction of trade barrier, the spread of technology, and the movement of capital, labor, and information across borders. Globalization enhances economic growth, expands access to goods and services, promotes cultural exchange, and accelerates technological advancement. However, it also poses challenges such as economic equality and cultural uniformity. In essence, globalization brings the world closer together, fostering interconnection on a large scale. Next naman, pag sinabing regionalization. is a component of globalization but focuses on specific geographic areas. It emphasizes the importance of regional identities, cooperation, and economic stability. Regionalization involves the collaboration of countries within a defined region, such as Southeast Asia or the Asia Pacific, to address shared challenges and opportunities. According to Harrell in 2007, regionalization reflects a one world or many world relationship where religion, development, influence, and are influenced by the broader global context. Regionalization can be seen as building block or globalization, promoting political stability, economic growth, and cultural exchange within a specific region.
In the past, madaming bansa sa Asia ang nakahamon o nakaranas ng hamon in terms of their economies and politics. At dahil dyan, they are struggling to keep up with more developed parts of the world. However, in the recent decades, several East Asian countries gaya ng South Korea, Hong Kong, Singapore, Taiwan, ay nakilala dahil sa kanilang pagbilis sa paglago ng kanilang ekonomiya. At yung mga nations na yan are often called tiger economies dahil sa kanilang fast-paced development and strong industries. So, yung transformations na yan ay hindi lang isang bansa ang nakinabang, but also shows, pinapakita kung paano ang cooperation ng within Asian countries or within Asia ay nag-lead sa regional strength. So, as countries like China, Japan, South Korea, and Asian nations grew economically, kaya ina-influence nila yung mga katibing bansa nila to adopt the similar strategies na para lumago ang kanilang ekonomiya at iba pang makakatulong sa kanilang bansa. Before this growth, ang Asia before ay tinitignan bilang underdeveloped region. Pero dahil sa kanilang hard work and smart policies, several Asian countries ay quickly transformed their economies. At yung rapid progress na yan ay tinatawag bilang East Asian Miracle, which refers kung paano yung mga bansang ito boosted their economies, improved living standards, and made Asia as major player in a global economy. Itong success na to ay nagawa dahil sa strong leaders, wise investments, and the ability to adapt to global changes.
After leading to greater integration in Asia. First, increased trade between countries. One big reason for Asia's integration is the rise in trade between countries in the region. Kasi many Asia countries have large economies, which means they can buy and sell lot from each other. At madaming tao na gumagamit ng mobile phones, kaya business can easily communicate and sell product online. For example, sa bansang Vietnam at Thailand. Vietnam export clothes to Thailand while importing electronics from their online shopping platform like Shopee or Lazada. Help small business reach customer across border. Second, stronger financial connection. Other important factor is the development of strong financial ties between Asian countries. This helps us work together between and protect them from economic problem. Example, countries in Asia have created organizations like the Asian Development Bank or ADB that help them work together on financial issues. This means they can lead money to each other when needed. Last is working together on production. Countries in Asia are becoming expert of making different parts of product. They focus on what they do best, which makes everything cheaper and faster. Example, Samsung designed its smartphone in South Korea, however they have parts made in Vietnam. Because it's cheaper, the chip are made in Taiwan and sent Vietnam to assemble into the final smartphone. They weigh which country uses in strength, making the whole process faster and less expensive.
Trade is when countries buy and sell goods and services from each other. The world economy is connected, which means that what happens in one country can affect others. Imagine you live in a neighborhood where everyone has a different skills. Yung isa is nagbe-bake ng mga cake and breads, yung isa naman is nagbebenta ng mga gulay, at yung isa is gumagawa ng mga furnitures. Imagine kapag nag-trade silang lahat is magbe-benefit sila. So, similarly, Asian countries trade to meet their needs, which help them grow economically. Mahalaga ang trade kasi maraming produkto at serbisyo ang makikita sa ibang bansa nang wala sa sarili nating bansa. Asia has many different cultures, but many countries share similar traditions, beliefs, and values. Example na lang is yung kaibigan mo. Kapag parehas kayo ng hobbies, mas madali niyong maintindihan ng isa't isa at nakaka-relate kayo. Kagaya rin yun sa dalawang bansa. If two countries share the similar cultures or traditions, they can connect more easily when discussing important matters like trade agreements. Common goals. Asian countries are starting to see the benefit of slow integration. Since many countries are close to each other, they can work more easily. Think of it like a group projects in school. When everyone contribute their strength at umaambag sa groupings, mas nagiging maganda yung result. At they can do better. So, isipin mo na kapag walang umaambag at walang cooperation, anong mangyayari? Similarly sa Asian countries, marami silang na-achieve by cooperating and supporting each other.
Few factors contributing to the growth of the Asian interregional trade. Interregional, ito ay ang kalakalan sa pagitan ng mga bansa sa loob ng parehong rehiyon. One of the factors contributing to the growth of the Asian interregional trade is they include the rise in regional income. Kapag tumataas ang kita ng mga tao sa isang rehiyon, tumataas din ang kanilang kakayahang bumili ng mga produkto at serbisyo. Ito ay nagiging sanhi ng pagtaas ng demand para sa mga kalakal at serbisyo. Pangalawa, the removal of trade barriers. Ang mga hadlang sa kalakalan tulad ng mga taripa at kota ay nakakaapekto sa daloy ng kalakalan sa pagitan ng mga bansa. So, kapag tinanggal ang mga hadlang na ito, mas madali at mas mura para sa mga may negosyo ang makipagkalakalan sa isa't isa. And last, advances in production and transportation technologies. Ang mga pag-unlad sa production at teknolohiya ng transportasyon ay nagpapababa ng gastos ng paggawa at pagdadala ng mga kalakal. Ito ay nagpapahintulot sa mga negosyo na magbenta ng kanilang mga produkto sa mas malawak na merkado. Factors restraining regional integration. Regional integration, ito ay ang proseso ng pagsasama ng mga ekonomiya ng mga bansa sa isang rehiyon. One of the factors restraining regional integration is the high trade and investment restrictions. Ang mga mataas na gastos sa kalakalan at mga paghihigpit sa pamumuhunan ay maaaring magpahina ng kalakalan sa pagitan ng mga bansa. Halimbawa, ang mga mataas na taripa ay maaaring magpataas ng gastos ng mga kalakal na ginagawa namang mas mahal ang mga ito para sa mga mamimili. And last, inefficient policy, relevant analytical work on gains of regional integration in both trade and investment to make informed policy decisions. Ang kakulangan ng pag-aaral na may kaugnayan sa patakaran sa mga pakinabang ng regional integration ay maaaring magpahirap sa mga pamahalaan na gumawa ng mga desisyon sa patakaran na nagtataguyod ng kalakalan at pamumuhunan.
To understand Asian regionalism, we must first acknowledge the powerful forces of globalization that have shaped the region's history and development. One way to view this relationship is through an externalist perspective. The region as an object impacted by globalization. An externalist view refers to the colonial rule and dominance of Western countries to Asian countries. In addition, technologically and industrially more advanced Western powers found their way to the region and alternately deprived and muscled their way to political and economic dominance. So first, I am going to discuss what is colonial rule and dominance. So what happened in colonial rule and dominance? This is the colonialism in the region beginning from 1500s European colonialism devastating changes. An example of this is the Portuguese invasion of Malacca in 1521 and the subsequent fall of Sultanate, which shifted political and economic dynamics in Malacca and India. The arrival of Ferdinand Magellan in 1521 in the Luzon region of the Philippines marked the beginning of extended Spanish colonial rule in those islands. The Dutch followed in the 17th century and slowly strengthened their position in the Dutch East Indies. The British also consolidated their power in South Asia. Burma and the Malaccan Peninsula, while the French eventually control of Indochina in the late 19th century. Europeans brought new economic practices, religious beliefs, cultural values, and political structures that changed the region drastically. Japan and Thailand did not experience colonial rule, but they had to deal with the consequences of Western influence. Japan, which had been closed off during the reign of the Tokugawa shogunate, was forced by the black sheeps of Commodore Machiavelli in the 19th century that brought about the major restoration. Also, Thailand underwent significant changes under the reign of King Mokat Rama IV and King Chulalongkorn Rama V. Number 5 is remembered as the great modernizer who led major political, social, and economic reforms in the 19th and 20th centuries. Movement for nationalism and independence also emerged in many parts of the world, including the Asia Pacific and South Asia. Anderson highlights the global experiences of nationalist leaders such as Rizal in the Philippines, who come to imagine himself as Filipino after being influenced by life in Spain and elsewhere. So yung pananakot ng Europe sa Asia simula noong 1500s ay nagdulot ng malaking pagbabago sa rehiyon. Ang mga bansang tulad ng Portugal, Espanya, Britanya at France ay nagpatupad ng kanilang mga sistema ng pamahalaan, ekonomiya at kultura na resulta sa pagkawala ng sariling pagkakakilanlan ng mga nasakop na bansa. Kahit na hindi direkta nasakop ang Japan at Thailand, ay naapektuhan din ng Western influence na nagresulta ng pagbabago sa kanilang mga lipunan at ekonomiya. Ang pananakot ay nagdulot din ng pagsibol ng nasyonalismo at mga kilusan para sa kalayaan sa buong Asya, na naglalaan ibalik ang kanilang sariling pagkakakilanlan at kalayaan. Next is World War II. World War II marks another way in which the region comes to be at once integrated and influenced by external forces. After World War II, concerns about political instability, faltering economic reform, and the fall of China all pushed the United States and their occupation stressed Japan economic growth and its incorporation into the world economy. This means opening up American markets to Japanese goods, allowing the Japanese markets to supply equipment and goods for U.S. Armed Force and other aid programs, and eventually incorporating Japan into the multilateral economic order, including the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade. Ang ikalawang digmaang pandaigdig ay isa pang malaking pangyayari na nagpakita kung paano nakisama at naimpluwensyahan ng Asya ng mga kalabas na bansa. Pagkatapos ng digmaan, ang Estados Unidos sa pamamagitan ng kanilang nananakop sa Japan at nagsikap na pasiglahin ang ekonomiya ng Japan at isama ito sa pandaigdigang kalakalan. Ito ay nagresulta ng pagbubukas ng mga merkado ng Amerika sa mga produktong Hapon at pagsasama ng Japan sa mga pandaigdigang organisasyon ng kalakalan. In the 1980s and 1990s, Japan, Korea, and Taiwan were able to adopt economic policies in line with what they understood as an increasing globalized economic systems and benefited from export-oriented growth policies. This was followed by the high-flying growth of Southeast Asia, tigers including Thailand, Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, and Vietnam. The East Asian countries and Southeast Asian countries have some similarities including relatively close ties between the state and business alike, some degree of autonomous decision-making structure, and the rise of manufacturing. However, Southeast Asian countries were more reliant on infusions of foreign capital. So, noong dekada 80 at 90, ang Japan, Korea, at Taiwan ay napatupad ng mga patakaran sa ekonomiya na nakatuon sa pag-export na nagresulta sa malaking paglago ng kanilang ekonomiya. Sinundan ito ng mabilis na pag-unlad ng mga timog silangang Asya, tulad ng Thailand, Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, at Vietnam. Bagaman nagkaroon ng pagkakatulad sa kanilang mga ekonomiya, ang mga bansa sa timog silangang Asya ay mas nakadepende sa mga pamumuhunan mula sa ibang bansa. While Asia has been shaped by external forces, it has also become generative force in globalization, driving new economic models and shaping global trends. This generative view highlights how Asia has become a springboard for global change.
The region as a springboard, a generative views show how the region as an active agent pushing the process of globalization forward. It can be seen as a force for good, bringing economic development, political progress, and social cultural diversity to the region. Region as a springboard ay tumutukoy sa paggamit ng isang rehiyon bilang isang lugar ng paglaki at pagunlad upang makamit ang mga layunin sa ekonomiya, politika at lipunan. Tulad ng ASEAN, ang ASEAN ay ginagamit ng mga bansa sa Timog Silangang Asya bilang isang springboard upang mapalakas ang kanilang ekonomiya at politika.
International Monetary Fund and World Bank. Let's differentiate between International Monetary Fund and World Bank. IMF is pandaigdig pananalapi at kalakalan, which is pagsuporta sa mga patakaran sa pananalapi ng Pilipinas. World Bank, pagpapababa ng kahirapan at pagpapalakas ng ekonomiya. Magbibigay ng mga rekomendasyon sa mga bansa upang mapabuti ang kanilang mga ekonomiya. Part of the bracket system, IMF and World Bank were the cornerstones of economic liberalization and globalization. In the post-war global economy, also, they sought the Southeast Asia. In Indonesia, Suharto's policies and economic framework under the IMF and World Bank provided crucial assistance and foundation for the legitimacy of the authoritarian Suharto regime. Despite providing some basis for economic coherence and lenders look away from the massive amounts of corruption and patrimonialism that occurred in the Suharto regime. In Thailand, the IMFs pushed liberalization and export orientation growth, which led to increasing amount of foreign investment and double-digit GDP growth, while in the Philippines, the World Bank and the IMF had a close relationships, while with Ferdinand Marcos, whose tenure left with nearly US 30 billion in debt. International Monetary Fund provides the institutional framework for determining the rules and procedures from international payments, determination of exchange rates, and movement of capital. World Bank, an international development organization owned by 187 countries. Asian Financial Crisis. Isang malawakang krisis na pinansyal na nangyari sa Asia noong 1997 at 1998. Ito ay nagdulot ng malawakang epekto sa mga ekonomiya ng mga bansa sa mga rehiyon. The other problem was that unfettered capital resorting from processes of globalization over the past several decades. Both views recognize the deep impact globalization has had on the economies in the region, and the influence it played in the 1997 crisis showed how deeply integrated the economy was in the global financial system. Liberalization of economy and membership. To World Trade Organization, China began liberalizing their economy in the late 1970s with the reforms introduced by Deng Xiaoping. India began to liberalize their economy in 1991 and increase levels of trade and foreign direct investment, particularly in the textiles and service sectors of the economy. McDonnell by 2008 said that both countries have experienced high levels of economic growth as a result, and have also become much more integrated into the illegal as a result into the global economy, including membership in the World Trade Organization. Effect on employment practices. The study of the International Labour Organization highlights how labor are undergoing significant changes. These are the following. First, temporary and part-time employment in Japan, Korea, and Australia. Second, increase in informal employment, self-employment, family workers, informal enterprise workers in Thailand, Indonesia, and Vietnam. Third, underemployment. Philippines has 18% of workforce, while Indonesia has 25% of workforce. Fourth, no legal contracts. Fifth, poor working conditions and safety issues at factories that manufactures goods for Western companies.
So meron din pala siyang effects pagdating sa politics. Many countries have moved away from authoritarian regimes to democratic regimes. So, ang authoritarian regimes, ito yung one, a group of small people lang yung may hadlang power. So, tayo mga citizen is limited lang rights and freedoms natin. So, hindi tayo masyado nakikiparticipate o nakakaparticipate sa politics. Ang democratic regimes naman, ito yung tayo. Tayong citizen ang may hadlang powers. Meron tayong rights at freedoms para iboto kung sino yung gusto natin na maging leaders through voting. Iboto natin kung sino yung karapat-dapat na maging leader. At dapat yung may good governance. Why did this change happen? Meron akong 3 reasons kung bakit nangyari yun. The first one is the rising middle classes. As economies grow, marami ng people na nagiging part ng middle classes. Sila yung mga financially stable na at educated. Nagdedemand sila ng democratic changes kasi gusto nila ng voice at rights pagdating sa politics. The second one is more connected world. The world now is more connected through social media and internet. Pagka browse mo pa lang ng ganon, makikita mo na yung iba't ibang ideas nila about governments. At marami pang tao na nakikita ko sa social media na nagpo-protest against unfair governments. We have rights to do that kasi citizens din tayo. Nakikita natin kung ano yung mga ginagawa ng mga nasa gobyerno. Nakikita natin kung sino yung mga present pag may mga sakuna or kung ano mang nangyayari ngayon. The third one is end of Cold War. After the period tension between the superpowers, the USA and USSR, marami ng countries na nafe-feel nila na kailangan nila rin ng democratic change, kaya nangyari yun. So, para mas paintindihan natin mabuti, gawin natin example yung nangyari sa Indonesia. Ito yung the fall of Suharto in Indonesia. In May 1998, Si President Suharto ay nag-resign after being in powers for 31 years kasi may nangyari sa Indonesia na Asian financial crisis kung saan by high inflation, tumaas yung mga bilihin at maraming taong nawala ng trabaho. So, many people are unhappy sa nangyaring yun kaya nag-protest sila. Nag-resign si President Suharto at dun na nagsimula na Indonesia ay naghalbag ng free elections of may freedom sa elections at pagdating sa politics. Effects on culture. Ang globalization daw ay nag-lead sa cultural homogenization kung saan nagiging similar na yung mga cultures natin sa iba't ibang bansa. One example of the rising fast food chain, kung saan yung mga McDo, Jollibee ay nakikita na rin sa Pilipinas at sa ibang bansa. Changing what people eat. For example, sa Japan, yung mga younger people, mas prefer na nila kainin ang beef at uminom ng mga soju or beers, imbis na yung traditional na vegetables and water lang. Minsan nagagaya rin natin yung mga cultures nila. Meron pang tao na nire-replace yung wheat as rice. This is show how Western eating habits are influencing traditional diets. Isa na rin dito yung growth of supermarkets. Maraming tao na nagtitinda ng mga standard items gaya ng mga products ng Korea at mga nagsusuot na rin. At sinusuportahan yung mga musics like Blackpink at unti na rin yung nakikita natin na gumagamit ng mga gawang Pinoy. At dahil daw dito sa actions is parang na-hurt daw yung traditional markets namin. Okay lang naman gumamit ng mga standard items but huwag natin kalimutan o appreciate yung mga produkto na meron sa Pilipinas. Dapat isupport pa rin natin. Kapag sinabi natin region is a springboard, ito daw ay may mahalagang papel sa pakikipag-ugnay natin sa iba't ibang mga bansa na nag-lead ng mga magandang result gaya ng pakikipag-trade natin sa iba't ibang bansa. Nag-lead ito ng job creation. Ang magandang example dito is yung sa spice trade. Sabi ni historian Anthony Reid, hindi daw ang Europeans ang nag-start ng spice trade kasi it was already happening before pa sila dumating. At ang gusto lang nila ay makahanap ng mura at mabilis na paraan para mabalik-pabalik ang mga spices na binili o meron sila. Spice trade shows us that the world has always been connected. At dahil dito, nasi-share natin yung mga ideas at mga goods kahit na nasa long distances sila. Nakagaya ng nararanasan natin ngayon kasi nakiki-interact tayo globally. Iniisip ng iba na ang colonialism daw ay isang one-sided relationship na kung saan ang mga makapangyarihang bansa ay ini-impose ang kanilang control sa mga mahihinang region, gaya ng mga nasa Asia Pacific. Pero may mga pananaw o perspective na nagsasabing ang colonists daw at mga kanilang pananakot ay complex at mutual. Sabi ng isang historian na si Anne Stoller, ang mga colonists daw ay nagsusunigi sa laboratories of modernity, meaning ang mga innovation daw sa mga estruktura ng mga politika at society ay madalas na nagsisimula sa mga colonies. At pagkatapos ay kumalat na rin sa Europe rather than being sa Europeans' influence. One example is the US colonial rule dito sa bansang Pilipinas. Ang mga Amerikano ay nagpatupad ng mga strategies para kontrolin at bantayan ang mga local populations, particularly sa pagharap ng mga labanan. Ang technique na counter-insurgency ay paraan para labanan ang mga rebelde. Ito ay unang dinevelop maigi sa Pilipinas bago gamitin ng military at government sa US. Sa healthcare din, noong mga panahong nagtatrabaho pa ang mga Amerikanong doktor at health workers sa Pinas, may mga challenges din in terms sa kalusugan natin. Pero nag-isip sila ng idea kung paano masusolusyonan itong mga to. Kaya yung mga natutunan nila nung nagtrabaho sila ay in-adapt nila to sa sarili nilang bansa. Kaya ang colonialism ay hindi lamang tungkol sa dominance. Kasi nagre-result din kasi ito ng mga bagong ideas na humubog sa modern Western society. Kaya meaning hindi lang siya one-way street.
Rise of Japan, China, and India. The end of World War II and the rise of the Cold War helped bring Japan into the global economy. Japan, as a resource-poor nation, instead embarked on a massive project to procure materials such as coal and iron at unprecedented economies of scale, allowing them to gain a competitive edge in the global manufacturing market. This not only transformed the market for these materials but also globally shaped shipping and procurement patterns which influence other sectors as well. Furthermore, as Japan's competitive advantage become visible, other countries model their practices on there's further deepening the globalized patterns of procurement and trade blazed by the Japanese conqueror 2007. China can also be seen pursuing a similar pattern of development. Today, it is now one of the world's largest importers of basic raw materials such as iron and surpass Japan, the United States, and Europe in steel production in terms of its low wage, labor, and supply chain management. China has also had enormous impact on the availability and consumption of goods around the globe. Nolan 2004. China has also now surpassed the World Bank in lending to developing countries. The China Development Bank and the China Export-Import Bank signed laws of the less $110 billion to other developing countries, governments, and companies in 2009 and 2010. The implications here are political as well as economic. Grant and laws made by state can often have economics and political string attached, as the Japanese experience has shown Islam 1991.
Regional Free Trade Arrangement. Regional free trade arrangements are agreements between countries in a specific region to reduce trade barriers between them. Some people see this as a way to limit globalization, while others see it as a way to promote it. The idea is that regional trade agreement can help countries learn from each other, make people more comfortable with free trade, and build a foundation for global cooperation in Asia, Pacific, and South Asia. Regional trade agreements are designed to be open, meaning they allow countries outside the region to participate. This helps to balance the growth of regional trade with the goal of Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation, or APEC, is a good example of open regionalism. It's a group of countries around the Pacific Ocean that work together to reduce trade barriers. What makes it open is that it doesn't include countries outside the region. The goal is to make trade easier for everyone while still following the rules of the World Trade Organization. The Asia, Pacific, and South Asia are not just recipients of globalization, but also contributors. They've exported a lot of popular culture to the rest of the world, like Hello Kitty, anime, and K-pop. This shows that globalization is two-way street, and the region is playing a significant role in shaping global trends.
The region as an alternative to globalization. The arguments from this perspective see the region as a source of resistance to globalization or to global or Western powers. In this context, titignan ang ibang bansa sa Asia, kailangan region as potential counterforce to the impact of globalization. Halimbawa na lang noong 1930s at 1940s na ang Japan ay nagbalak na bumuo ng regional alliance na tinatawag na East Asia Co-Prosperity Sphere. Sphere refers initially to Japan, China, and Manchukuo. Yung napagkasunduan nila ito pagsamahin upang magtulungan mga bansa to have better opportunities and access to good quality of life. Sila ang nag-propose nito ay under Japanese leadership siya. May control sila rito, kaya nalaunan naging malinaw sa kanila na pagkakasunduan nito ay mostly benefited ang Japan lang. Kaya ang binuo nilang Co-Prosperity Sphere ay hindi rin nagtagal, dahil ang Japan lang ang ikinabang rito. Ipinakita ang halimbawa ng kasaysayang ito, paano maaaring mabigo ang isang regional na kikipagtulungan kung saan pansariling interes. Lamang ang isang bansa ng pangingibabaw, kaya importante ang magkaroon ng tunay at patas na kooperasyon. Following this historical example, mahalagang maintindihan din kung paano hinubog ang unique cultural values. Sa tanging kultura ang Asia, ang regional cooperation. Ang Asian values na emphasize dating Prime Minister ng Malaysia na si Mahathir Mohamad. Ang sumuporta, focus sa komunidad, paggalang sa authority at kakaisa, naiiba ito sa mga Western values. Nakilala sa pagiging makasarili o individualism, hindi tulad dito sa Asia na aming kultura. Also, we are known for being collectivist. Isinasaalang natin yung mga ibang tao at ang lipunan natin. Kaya dito nagpapakita na ang Asia ay kailangang gayahin yung mga approach na meron sa Western para mag-succeed. Mas okay kung bumuo na lang ng sariling values na nagpa-prioritize sa bawat isa, hindi pang sarili lamang.
So another way the region serves as an alternative to globalization is through the lens of regional arrangement. So yung mga ibang Asian countries before, they tried to build their own organization or group na walang participation yung mga Western countries. So paraan nila ito to have more control and independence. Hindi yung umaasa lang sila sa global arrangement or organization na malaki ang impluensya ng mga Western countries, specifically ang Estados Unidos. So, ang example ng binuo nila dating organization or isang grupo ay yung tinatawag na East Asia Economic Caucus or EAEC. So, ang EAEC ay pinopose ng dating Prime Minister ng Malaysia na si Mahathir Mohamad noong 1990. Isa itong regional trade zone at ang layunin niya ay bumuo ng isang regional economic group na puro Asian countries lamang ang makakasapi. Particularly yung mga bansa sa nakasali sa ASEAN, which ibig sabihin is Association of Southeast Asian Nations. Ang idea nila ay buuin ito ng walang participation ang Western countries since sila yung halos may malaking impluensya whenever merong sa global association or organization. Pero sa kasamang palad, hindi siya na-propose, hindi naging successful dahil sa pagtutol ng Estados Unidos and other reasons din. So, habang ang mga collaborations sa ekonomiya, sa culture, na mga ito ay nagpapakita ng pagsisikap ng Asia na bumuo ng pagkakaisa, hindi lahat ng regional arrangements ay nakakabuti. So, halimbawa na natin yung grupo ng Jemaah Islamiyah or tinatawag na JI. So, ang grupong ito ay grupong pang-terorista na nakabase sa Indonesia. So, sila yung example ng grupo na gumagamit ng regional network na para tutulan ang mga influence ng Western countries. Ang layunin ng JI ay magtatag ng isang Islamic state sa Southeast Asia na may ugnayan yung mga bansa tulad ng Malaysia, Philippines, at Thailand. So kasamang palad, sila yung responsible sa pagbobomba noong 2002 sa Bali, Indonesia. So ang halimbawa na ito ay habang yung mga ibang region or bansa ay gustong itaguyod yung kanilang kapayapaan ng bansa nila at cooperation. Ang iba ay maaaring gumamit ng mga radikal na mga paraan upang tutulan yung mga influence ng Western countries or pandaigdig na impluensya.
Kaya Asian regionalism. Nagpapakita na ang mga bansa in region ay kakaisa at tutulungan to help one another at iwasan dumepende masyado sa mga global systems na mumunuan ng mga Western countries. These include historical partnership, common values, economic plans, radical groups, and community projects. Pinapakita ng Asia na kaya nitong pamahalaan ang mga outside pressures habang patuon sa mga mahalagang bagay para sa region na lumilikha ng tanging paraan para sa kooperasyon at independent.